I recently uploaded an episode on the history of the French medal, the Croix de Guerre, the War Cross. If you haven't seen it, have a look. But after uploading it, I had a feeling I didn't tell you enough about this medal. You see, collecting medals is different from collecting coins or stamps or something else. Because every medal is deeply personal. Every single one has a story to tell. Some stories can be fully investigated, and for others, you just need to use your imagination a little bit. Good midnight, this is Solo. Tonight I'm going to tell you 3 exciting stories of the awarding of the French Cross of War. This one. Grab your coffee and let's go. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, one of my absolute favorite writers. My personal favorite is the book called Terre des Hommes, or in the English translation, Wind, Sand and Stars. What is your favorite book? Saint-Exupéry was awarded the Croix de Guerre with Palm on June 2nd, 1940. This was in recognition of his legendary reconnaissance flight over Arras on May 23, 1940. His Blau 174 aircraft was completely riddled with enemy anti-aircraft fire, yet he miraculously brought his crew home safely. This terrifying and heroic flight became the backbone of his famous book Pilote de Guerre, Flight to Arras. I was not able to find any historical photos of him actually wearing this medal. If you ever come across one, please share it with me in the comments. When he finally managed to get back into a cockpit with the Free French Air Force under American command in 1944, a famous series of photographs was taken by photojournalist John Phillips just weeks before Saint-Exupéry vanished. In these iconic images, Saint X is seen in his pilot gear inside the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. He is dressed purely for utility, wearing standard plain flight overalls or a simple service uniform without a single ribbon or medal attached. Saint-Exupéry's last reconnaissance mission was to collect intelligence on German troop movements. On July 31, 1944, he took off in an unarmed P-38 on his 9th reconnaissance mission from the airbase on Corsica. To the great alarm of his squadron compatriots, he did not return. For decades, the sea held his secret. Then, in September 1998, to the east of Riou Island, just south of Marseille, a local fisherman's net dragged up something small and metallic. It was a silver identity bracelet, corroded by decades of salt water, but still bearing the engraved names of Saint-Exupéry and his wife Consuelo. I look at this medal and just think how many great books were left unwritten in that water of Mediterranean. Josephine Baker. Now let's step away from the airfields and walk into the smoky, dimly lit clubs of Paris. Let's talk about Josephine Baker. Before the war, she was the toast of France, an absolute force of nature on stage, dancing in her famous banana skirt, singing jazz. She was the Taylor Swift of 1940s. But when the Nazis marched into Paris, Josephine didn't run. She chose a second, incredibly dangerous career. She was recruited by French counterintelligence. She used her massive celebrity status as the ultimate shield. She moved freely across international borders, touring Europe and North Africa, gathering critical intelligence at foreign embassies, diplomatic parties, and high society gatherings. And her methods were pure espionage genius. She would listen to troop movements, note them down, and then write classified military intelligence directly on her arms in invisible ink, or pin secret documents inside her silk underwear. She did this completely confident that no border guard or Gestapo agent would ever dare cause a massive international scandal by strip searching a global megastar. When the war finally ended, the French Republic recognized her immense bravery. General Charles de Gaulle personally ensured she was awarded both the Legion of Honor and the Croix de Guerre. When she was presented with the medals, she didn't wear her stage costumes. She stood proudly in her elegant, dark French female military auxiliary uniform. A true soldier of the shadows. I have to pause here for a second, just because I want to tell you how much I love making those videos for you. But no channel can survive long without subscribers, so please support me by subscribing to my channel. Cher Ami. Our third story takes us deep into the mud, gas and chaos of the Western Front during the First World War. And this recipient wasn't a celebrity, an aristocrat or a pilot. In fact, she wasn't even human. Her name was Cher Ami, and she was a homing pigeon serving with the US Army Signal Corps in France. Imagine October 1918 during the brutal Meuse-Argonne offensive. A force of over 500 men, famously known as the Lost Battalion, became completely trapped behind enemy lines. They were cut off, surrounded by German forces, and to make things a nightmare, they were accidentally being shelled by their own American artillery. The coordinates were wrong. They were dying from friendly fire. The commander, Major Whitsey, had no working radios. Their only lifelines were carrier pigeons. He sent up his first pigeon with the correct coordinates. The Germans shot it down. He sent a second pigeon, shot down. Cher Ami was their absolute last hope. Whitsey wrote a desperate note on a tiny scrap of paper, stuffed it into a canister and tied it to her left leg. The note read, "Our own artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it." The moment Cher Ami took off from the blood-soaked trench, the German lines unleashed a wall of machine gun fire and shrapnel. The men watched in horror as she was struck and plummeted to the ground. But then a miracle happened. Cher Ami took flight again. She was shot cleanly through the breast, blinded in one eye, and one of her legs was shattered. Yet she kept flying. She covered 25 miles in just 25 minutes, arriving at her coop covered in blood, barely breathing. But the message was delivered. The artillery stopped. Because of that single bird, 194 men walked out of that forest alive. The French army medics, they saved her life, and the French commanders personally awarded Cher Ami the Croix de Guerre with palm for her unbelievable heroism. Those three stories prove something beautiful. You actually do not have to be typical to be brave. Your profession, your background, or the color of your skin does not matter. As Cher Ami proved, you don't even need to be human to show valor. I look at this bronze medal in my hand and I don't just see history books. I think of all the brave people I know personally. Ordinary citizens who stood up, put everything aside and went to defend their homes from a brutal invader. Some of them are not with us anymore, and it hurts. It truly hurts. But that is why medals matter. The memory of that pain, that courage, and that sacrifice is struck in solid bronze and hung on silk ribbons for us to hold, to honor, and to remember. This was Solar. I have many more stories to tell, so stay connected. Until next midnight.